Alright, welcome back Rage Nation. We got something really cool for you guys today. Wyrd's been putting out a lot of cool stuff, especially with the release of this Explorers Guild. So, good news is Rage Quit Wire got some Christmas presents. This is basically the November and December releases, at least a few things that you guys would see through Wyrd. This is stuff that you guys may be getting for Christmas. And we just wanted to kind of release a video that shows kind of the quality, what you're getting in the boxes, and maybe you get some money for Christmas and you want to figure out how to spend it. Maybe some of this stuff looks cool for you. So we're going to go through a few of these different things to see, one, what does the new shiny stuff look like, and two, are these boxes going to be a pain in the butt to put together? So we're going to look at a few different things. So I'm going to start off with the Explorers Society, not just the cards, the Fate deck, but also the book that has a lot of cool stories, rules, and everything else in it. So we're going to slide all that stuff to the side. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to show is the faction book. So the faction books are really cool. You can see they're soft cover. Even though I prefer hardcover, that's fine. It keeps costs down so that way you're not spending as much money. When you get into these awesome faction books, you're going to see on the front side, you always get the fluff stories that are current with the faction. But then as you get to the back, you're going to see a lot of this cool art, and you're going to get the backstory for each individual master, crew member, whatever. Just a backstory about them. You're going to get some cool art, and it's just going to be something where it's just great to go through this book. I've already gone through this pretty much front to back, and it's something you can just pick up, read casually, and then check out again. So I really like what they do with these books, for sure. So I'm really impressed with the quality here. Like I said, even though it's soft cover, you'll start to get like these kind of like creases in the spine and stuff. It's still good though. They're still really solid books and really good for the price too that you're going to pay for them. The other things that they've started coming out with is they're coming out with these faction decks. Now these faction decks are kind of cool because obviously they're going to have art and stuff from your faction. But when you pull them out, let's pull out all these cards. So first off, they come in a box, which is great. But the art on these are all pretty slick. I mean, they have everything from masters to whatever. Your red jokers are always going to be your emissary, and the black joker is always going to be the little guy of your emissary. So really cool art on these. I really like them, and they're pretty good quality too. The cool thing about these is they don't come out stiff. So actually, as soon as you get the cards, now I don't know the longevity of this because my Bayou faction Fate deck is, I've only played with it probably about 15 times. But if you look at these as straight out the box, they shuffle up really nice. I don't know how that sounds on the video, but they shuffle up really well. Okay. So that's what I love about this faction Fate deck that they're doing. They shuffle really well. Really smooth in your hands. So I really like this a lot. One more time just for the coolness. So these faction decks are really smooth. Got all the cool art from all the people in your faction. And probably the coolest thing about these is actually like just gameplay. So you play a card, you can see the symbols on them pretty clearly. If not, you got the word Rams on the side of it. So there's not going to be many mistakes on what you're flipping. I know some people have some really creative Fate decks, and it's like, what does that even mean? Like, you have some really weird symbols on there. So these Fate decks are really cool. Lets you customize them to your faction. And they're just solid. I just like them a lot. Obviously, I still like my custom deck through some games, but these are really good to play. Just be like, oh yeah, I'm playing Explorers. Let me bust out my Explorer faction deck. All right, so let's get on to some of the other goodies that we had for Explorers, though. So something that I got my hands on was we got the Lord Cooper box. And then we also have On the Hunt box. So these are two boxes that I got for the December release. And what I wanted to do is just show what these sprues look like. and really see what's in the box, what you're getting for your money, and then just see what the quality of the sprues are. So we're going to look at Lord Cooper first because he is definitely cool. So when you open this up, just pull out everything that's in here. So you're going to get your bases, you're going to get your cards, which these tarot cards are awesome. I love these about Malifaux. But you get your bases in here. You can see everything in this box is on a 30 mil. So these are all small models. You don't get the Malifaux Rex in this. And if you're looking at the sprue, you're going to see that a lot of small bits on this one. But the biggest complaint about Malifaux is how hard stuff is to put together sometimes on these sprues. So if you're looking at it, a lot of this small stuff, like Lord Cooper's over here, he's actually not terrible. It looks like he's only in about 6 different pieces. And the cool thing that I actually saw is they actually have a base insert for him in a couple of these other models in these other boxes. So I like that they're starting to include some of those just as an option. The dogs over here look really easy to put together. The other dog over here looks pretty easy to put together. The runaways, they got some bits, but there's nothing crazy. The only model in this box that I'm looking at that I'm like, I'm not looking forward to putting that together is actually Model 9, which is right here. And you can see he's got a cloak. He has like a really kind of thin foot. He has these knives that have these really thin handles. He's going to be the kind of bad one to put together in this box, I can already tell you. A lot of thin pieces. Yeah. This is like, when I think of Malifaux model, this is the Malifaux model that I think of, where it's a lot of tiny bits put together. Yeah, just can be really tough. But like I said, all the other models don't look too bad. Like there's no crazy like 3 pieces of the head. The only thing that I'm really worried about when I put this one together is these tiny knives that you see with Model 9. But besides that, it looks pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing here. I can't wait to put the dogs together personally. These bloodhounds with Artemis and Euler. And of course, the man himself, Mr. Teddy Roosevelt. So that's what's in that box. Let's see what is on the hunt box looks like. Slide this aside. All right, so we got On the Hunt. Pull all that out. Same thing. Lord Cooper has a lot of 30 mil. I guess it's because you got to make up for the 50 mil Malifaux Rex. So you get the cards, you get the bases. It's always good. You can see more inserts. Base inserts on this. Now these models don't look bad at all to put together, if you ask me. This model you can see is actually, it looks like he's just in 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, 5, which is great. Same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think once you start getting past like 5 to 6 pieces to put together, you're really putting in some work for your models. And then the other models, same thing, not a ton of pieces. I'm actually pretty happy with what I'm seeing with these models. Good fur detail. The detail seems to be really good on these models, which I know Wyrd doesn't have a ton of problems with, but just the fur detail, bones, knives, guns, all great detail on them. So pretty happy about that as well. So those are the 2 boxes that we got for the Apex keyword. And then I also was curious about this Hoffman Augmented boxes. So when you look at these boxes, you got Hoffman core box and you're keeping the piece box. So in Hoffman's box, and remember he can play for Guild and he can play for Arcanist. You have a new sculpt for Charles Hoffman, which he's kind of a beefy robot. You have Melissa Core, which I know a lot of people love her. You have Mechanical Attendant, and you have 3 Hunters, which I thought was an interesting choice, but they're pretty good. And then the other box, keeping the peace, you get the beast of a model of the Peacekeeper, and then 3 Watchers, so the Flying Boys. So let's go ahead and I'm actually really curious about these just because they're flying. So I'm kind of curious how they're going to be put on bases. But let's look at the core box first. Just because once again, Hoffman's probably one of my favorite characters in Malifaux. His backstory is really interesting. There we go. And he's just got a cool theme behind him, just stompy robots, right? All right, so we got a few different sprues. We got the cards. Got a lot of big bases for Hoffman. There we go. Because I think there's the 350s are for the little tiger dudes, the hunters. 30s probably for the little robot, and I think Hoffman's on a 40. Okay. So, cards over there. All right, so this is... Ooh, this is the mechanical attendant. This is... This is the kind of sprue I'm not a huge fan of. If you look at the mechanical attendant, it's a small model, but I mean, look at how many pieces there are. This is the one where putting this together, you really got to kind of take your time with, because these little pieces, like the feet, whatever these little extensions of the robot are, going to take some time and effort to really go through. So this is probably the model I would be the most worried about putting together out of that box. All right, we have a hunter. This hunter has a lot of pieces, even these little, I'm going to guess those are probably wires or tubes going from one part to the other. Those are the kind of pieces where if they're just for aesthetics, I don't put those on the model sometimes. We can see Hoffman looks more like a Malifaux box if you're putting it together. Okay, these two hunters aren't as bad to put together. I can already see. There's not as many small pieces. You just have head, tail, things like that. These two, the small pieces, look a little nightmarish to put together. These two hunters we're okay with. Melissa Core, pretty simple. Hoffman looks amazingly simple to put together. Right here. Because he just has arms, he has some kind of torch thing, backpack, and he's good to put together. This is, some people don't like the stoic, like huge buff look of Hoffman. I actually think it looks pretty cool when you look at him. So this is actually an improvement as far as sprues and putting models together. These two smaller ones, this is what I would tell people Malifaux models are usually like to put together. So you could easily, though, not worry about this hunter. Just put these two together. Put Hoffman, Melissa Core, and the attendant, and call it good, and just throw this in your bits box. I don't think you're ever going to bring 3 hunters, unless you just really love them. Because, as we're going to see with this next box, with Keeping the Peace, you're going to have some other cool models that you can bring. So, when we pull this out, first off, the Peacekeeper is one of my favorite models in the Augmented keyword. There we go. All right. So we got the sprues, cards, bases. Perfect. Always check to make sure that you do get the right bases, just because sometimes if you don't get the right size, then you can't use your model and you got to contact Wyrd and stuff. So just make sure that you get the right sizes for what you have on your cards. The Watchers only go on 30s. So I'm kind of curious to see what they look like and how they're going to get put on these bases. So let's take a look at them. And interestingly enough, off this main base for the Watcher, or for the Peacekeeper, it comes with another 50 mil base, which is a little weird. Now, this actually looks like a lot when you're looking at the different bits on the sprues. I'm actually not too worried about this looking at it. Because I actually put the old Peacekeeper together, and you would have to put, like, this would break off pretty easy, this little harpoon. You had a couple more bits going on here. So this actually doesn't look too terrible to put together for how big the model is. I know some of these small pieces people might be freaking out about. It's actually not too terrible. So I'm actually pretty happy with the way this sprue looks after just checking it out. Now the Watchers, we have 3 of, is there 3 of them on this one sprue? The box comes with 3, right? Alright, it comes with 3. We have 3 sets of wings there. Interesting. Oh, that's because his body is already on there. Alright, so looking at this, My question is just, how are you going to get these flying models to look like they're on a base and supposed to be in a certain way? Almost like just want to get a flight stand from like some 40K stuff. Because you have wings, there's the tail. You could have it popping up on the tail. But if we're looking at, once again, the art and the renders, like this guy you can have on a base probably by himself. This guy is literally flying. So how are you going to have that look okay on a base? It's like this should have came with some sort of flight stand to make these two models look like they're going to be normal on a base. This one you can put on a base no problem because you can glue it. It'll just be very likely to break. But you can have it where it's standing up on this tail on a base. These two you need some kind of flight stand or some kind of rock or some kind of lamp that you're going to have them perched up on. And that's not in this box. So if you're buying this box, you need to have some kind of idea of how you're going to put these two models on the base, which I don't have a great answer for. I'm probably just going to get some GW flight bases, I guess, or flight stands, and use that. I actually have some over here. Let me grab one real quick. So you can get some of these. Put that aside. So these are actually the flight stands that I would probably use on these models. So they just pop up and then you can just put them on some kind of contact point on the model. This is probably what I would use for these two models here. But you got to have a plan. You got to have them on something because they're just going to look stupid just laying belly on the base. So just, like I said, think that out, have a plan for that one. All right, well, those are the boxes that we have. And I'll put out the book and stuff again, just so you guys can have some visual while I'm wrapping up thoughts here. So looking at the Augmented keyword and looking at the Apex keyword, this is stuff that came out mostly in December. A lot of you might be picking that up this coming month with all your presents that you got. Maybe somebody got you a gift card or something. So my initial interpretation is the sprues look better. They don't look as bad as old sprues from Malifaux. Seems like they're trying to improve it, which is good. The models look awesome. Like the sculpts, even though some of them may be a pain in the butt to put together, they still look awesome. Like I can't wait to put them together. I just know I'm going to spend an entire evening doing it because some of them are a little tedious for sure. So it's not perfect, but the quality's good. You can see they are improving their sprues a bit. So it's not as terrible to put them together because, I mean, being a Bayou player, I can tell you putting like Zip's box together, especially with those iron skeeters, was just a nightmare. It was just terrible. And I even have a friend, Michael Klein, who he tried to put some of those together, and he actually ended up just throwing the model against the wall. So I feel like that this is a better kit to put together than any of that. So I would recommend any of these 4 kits. The only one I would be cautionary of is keeping the piece box. Think about how you're going to get those models look like they're flying or that they're suspended or they're resting on something like a lamp or a light post or something. You got to have a plan for that. Otherwise, they're just going to be bellied on the base, which kind of looks dumb. The Peacekeeper looks awesome. Hoffman's box looks awesome. Apex boxes look awesome. I just got to get my hands on a Malifaux Rex and start getting this Explorer Society put together because it's really exciting. This faction is going to be fun to play against. I've only had games with Apex and then just played a game against English Ivan. That guy is crazy. We're going to do an episode soon on English Ivan, and we're also going to start doing some battle reports here soon because we redid our Patreon page, which you can support us directly at patreon.com/RageQuitWire. We redid it we got rid of the tier system just because it wasn't doing what we wanted it to do. So we're just doing pay what you want. It could be anything from $1 to $10. I mean, whatever you want to pay. And what we're doing is we set a goal. If we get 20 patrons, we're going to start putting out monthly videos. So that's battle reports. That could be more unboxings. We're probably going to start with battle reports because we just got a new mic that's going to pick up really well for that. We got a good camera. So we're just going to work on doing probably battle reports for Malifaux because that's what I'm mostly playing right now. And I got a couple people that want to do battle reports with me. So 20 people will start putting out monthly, and really excited about that goal. Once we meet that goal, we'll set another one. But should be doing some painting too. I've actually been talking with Greg from Third Floor Wars. I think we're gonna do a paint stream sometime next week with some of these cool new models. So I got to get putting them together so that way I can paint them, and then we're gonna put them on a stream and play them here soon. So really, really awesome stuff. So make sure that you guys check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and then once again, if you want to support us directly, check out Patreon /RageQuitWire. And with that being said, make sure that you guys flip cards, flip tables. Thanks again, Wyrd, for these awesome models that you hooked us up with. We're going to definitely put out some cool content about this stuff.